And we're live. Welcome back, Saints fans, to another edition of Saints TV Live. I hope you're all well on this Monday night, coming off the back of a big win against the Carlton Footy Club. Got over the top of them, 76 to 74. So it was a great win to end the season on a high. I'm doing well. Alana, how are you this evening?
Oh, pretty great. Despite not making the finals, and I mean, such a nice way to end the season, though. Thinking that we'd ended Carlton's season, only to have Freo spoil the party a couple of hours later. But at the time, it was a very sweet feeling, especially in the dying seconds. God, it was epic. I was off the couch dancing around the living room and had my two boys copying me, which which was great. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and maybe got a little bit carried away and maybe stuck out the finger in the heat of the moment to the TV. So hopefully the boys weren't watching that bit, but can't help but hate on Carlton. So yeah, bloody Freo.
Yeah, it was very Jamie Elliott esque. The Jack Higgins goal, and unfortunately Freo couldn't pull their weight. So we delivered for them; they didn't deliver for us. So yeah, it was a great win. I was watching with a Carlton supporter. So it was nice to watch them just say nothing in the last 30 seconds and just sink into their seat while I had a neutral fan screaming up and down with me and taking more pride in not pride but enjoyment of the fact that Carlton were looking like they were going to miss the eight rather than St Kilda's win. But we take what we get. So yeah. Just before we get further into it, I'd like to give a shout out to today's sponsor, the Press Sellers. As you can see the logo on the top right of your screen. They're the self-proclaimed world's best bottle shop, and it's fully independent, which means they've got the best choices and prices going around. Check them out for yourself. They're located on Smith Street in Warragul. Alternatively, you can visit their website, thepresssellers.com.au. I actually had to do a bit of geography. I was interested in the sponsor of today's show. I didn't realise that Warragul, I thought that was just an outer suburb of Melbourne. Turns out you actually have to get there on the V line itself. So probably check them out online unless you are interested in taking the V line for whatever reason. Yeah. But apart from that, let's dissect the game. Terrific game as it was. How did you see it unfolding, Alana? Give us your match summary.
Yeah, so straight up, just thought first off, wow, what an epic crowd. And yeah, we're not playing finals, but this is just such a good experience for the boys. You know, up against it too, because obviously it was a Carlton home game. So, it was just a sea of blue everywhere. So yeah, I thought this was really going to be nice for us. It's essentially an elimination for Carlton. Well, it was at the time. So yeah, I thought we were really impressive. I think we did really well at handling the heat early, and a little shout out to our cheer squad because I did hear them, and I'll often complain that they're not loud enough, but I thought they were really noticeable on the TV, which was saying something considering how outnumbered they were. So yeah, maybe they helped to get us going, and yeah, I thought the whole team, like Wilson from the start, I thought he was really solid and seemed to handle the heat really well for such a young kid. And Jones really impressed me too in the same way. He's just his last month or so of footy has been awesome. Can't fault it. I thought he'd come out really well and just pretty much said, "Sign me up. I'm not going anywhere." So I'm keen to sign him. I was a little bit like I've always been a bit of a Jones fan, but he was a bit up and down at one point. I was like, yeah, I don't know if he's giving us enough, but he sure shut me up, and happy for him too, because yeah, I've always liked him. So yeah, even that goal he kicked was just gut running. I thought Hill was back to having some really elite passes, especially when we needed it. Naz was a little fumbly early, but tidied himself up, and I feel like that's been a bit like Naz lately. And then, yeah, we sort of got on top at one point, and I thought we were going to run away with it. And then when Carlton came back, I was like, oh, we're going to struggle, especially when Stocker got subbed, because I thought he was doing a decent enough job in the midfield. So when he went off, I was actually a little bit concerned, especially because, Cripps, Walsh, even Hewitt, I thought were really having a strong impact. So for us to hold on and for Higgins to just hit that clutch goal at the end, and even like didn't need to get reviewed. Like watching that live, I just knew it went over the line. Like it was so exciting, and yeah, just an all round great game. Like I think I even had like mutual supporters messaging me saying, "Oh, this game's epic," and the Saints are playing so well, and they're going to make finals next year. And at the time, I was thinking, I don't even know if we're playing that well, but maybe that's just being a Saints fan, and you're always like on the edge.
Yeah, I'm not sure where to begin. I'm not sure where to start first. I'll say that, yeah, I thought Naz was fumbly again in the first half, and then tied himself up in the second half. Pretty much identical to last week, where it was a poor first half, decent second half. Maybe someone needs to tell him that the game actually starts at like 2:20 instead of 3:20, so he can get the first half jitters out of the way first. Um, Zach Jones again. I don't know why. I'll say this for the millionth time again. Don't know why people criticize him, because he again shut people up. Phenomenal performance. How many? What was his stats? Something like he had a lot of pressure acts. I think he had 12 pressure acts. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Uh, 19 disposals, going at 90% efficiency, 7 contested possessions, 2 stoppage clearances, and 3 intercept possessions as well, which you don't really see. So, yeah, it was really good to see him. Others, a lot. Jimmy Webster was actually all right in the back line. Who else had a good game? I thought it was just an all round performance. Filippo maybe want to rip my hair out in that miss before, but thankfully, the rest of the team made up for it. Particularly Higgins, snapping it at the end. I thought he had a good game in particular. I've been pretty harsh on Higgins, but he had 22 pressure acts, which was the equal third most of any Saint on the ground. So that was good to see from him, not just kicking goals, and obviously the goal that we wanted to see at the end, but doing the 1%ers that you don't get a lot of credit for. Yeah, we won't see a lot of 1%ers. I'm sure that the boys will get around to, and that'll be mentioned in the. I'm not sure if they actually do a post game review. Maybe they do. I don't know. They probably just get stuck into Mad Monday. If I was them, I wouldn't. I wouldn't bother. But yeah, Jimmy Brian Burns as well was terrific.
Yeah, how good was his goal? That's when I thought we've got this. Like this is game over. We're going to run home with it now. Like the week before, but yeah, I loved his goal and doesn't kick many. So yeah, I was glad for him to get one, and it was a nice
Yeah,
one.
it was a very good goal. Yeah, just sort of not really out of nowhere, but yeah, helped wrestle back momentum a bit. Yeah, and just his gut running. I love Ryan Burns' just ability to go from one side of your screen to another. There was obviously an unfavourable incident that occurred in the first half of the game that we won't give too much airtime to. But I will say that for all the people that I saw a lot of comments on Instagram and Facebook about this guy doesn't represent 99.9% of Carlton fans don't actually agree. Stereotypes are not given; they're earned, and this is the most Carlton thing I've ever seen. People will say, "Oh, Collingwood fans are worse," or "Essendon fans are worse." No, I'll sit here and tell you on live on YouTube, on Facebook. Yeah, as we're streaming this, Carlton fans are the worst in the league, and it's not even close. Like that sort of stuff, like spitting on your players, that sort of stuff. I don't see that from Collingwood or Essendon when I go and watch them. I see it from Carlton every single week. So, well, maybe not the bottle throwing, but I see that kind of boisterous behaviour and that stuff that needs to be stamped out of our game every week. So, yeah, that's stereotypes are given, not earned. Is a good way to describe it.
Yeah, they don't get called Carl scum for nothing. So
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm seeing a couple of comments about the All Australian squad. I think from what it seems like, Rowan Marshall has not made the squad, which that's clearly the squads that have been released in the last 10 minutes. So someone help me out with
Yeah,
how many Saints have made it. I'm guessing that if Rowan hasn't made it, then how big's the squad? Is it 40 or 44? Do you know, Alana?
I thought it was 40, but Could be wrong.
Okay,
I
if
thought it was 5.
either way, I think if Rowan Marshall, which I'm very surprised by, didn't make it, I would think that the only one would be Jack Sinclair, um, maybe Cal Wilkie, um,
Oh, he missed 2.
yeah, um, yeah, but I'm very surprised that Marshall's been snubbed. I would imagine that they've only included 2 ruckmen. Someone help me out. How many ruckmen? Because I'm talking a bit blind here. It's
Yeah.
kind of unfair to put us on the spot. I would imagine the ruckman would be Gorn and Tristan Sherry. Um, would there be any other ruckman? Maybe probably not Tim English. If Marshall doesn't make it, surely they've only picked 2 ruckmen, and Gorn deserves to make it. Sherry, I would have picked 3 ruckmen. I would have put Marshall in there as well. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know what he's got to do. I don't know if they just don't pay enough attention to Saints games or what it is, but yeah, that's a joke.
yeah. Okay, so I'm guessing it's just Sinclair, but someone
Yeah, who
someone
did make
tell
it?
me.
Anyone?
Okay, spot on, Jordan. Okay, so yes, I think this is Sinclair only, which is a bit
Yeah.
surprising. Um, okay, so I've had a look at here. So Adelaide, none. Really, Jordan Dawson didn't make it. That's a bit surprising. I thought he had a good year. Brisbane Lions, wow, they picked Joe Danaher, terrific. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
expected that. Rest of them's fair. Zorko's had a great year. Rayner's been good. Neil's been good. Andrew's good. Carlton, that's fine.
Mhm.
Walsh hasn't really played enough. Collingwood, oh, Darcy Cameron's. Oh, interesting. Darcy Cameron's been selected over Rowan Marshall. He's had a good year, Darcy Cameron, but I'm not too sure about that one.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
Essendon, Zach Merritt, yeah, that's fine. You're thinking, does anyone else at Essendon deserve a spot? Um, I don't know. Do you think Alana, anyone that brings to mind, Zach Merritt deserves to be there, but probably
Yeah,
not.
merit for sure, but I don't know that anyone else has had a consistent enough year, really. They've had a couple of okay players, but nah, probably not all Australian worthy.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably fair. I'm just mentally in my head. I can't think of anyone.
Mm.
5 for Freo seems like a lot, and
Yeah.
I disagree with. Um, I don't think both Jordan Clark and Hayden Young should be in there.
Yeah, I was
I
thinking the
think that's
same thing.
yeah,
One or the
that
other.
seems excessive.
Yeah.
Let's see, Marcus. Thanks, Marcus, for posting. I'm assuming that these are all accurate. Cats, yeah, that's fair. Gold Coast, that's fair. Probably Miller hasn't done enough, so that seems accurate. Sam Taylor, Mr. Fairfield of footy for GWS, so that's fair. Good to see Brent Daniels getting recognised. He's
Mm.
had a great end to the season, particularly. Jesse Hogan was always going to be in there.
Yep.
Um, and I think this is the last one. D'Ambrosio, that's
Mm.
interesting.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, Dylan Moore's had a superb year.
Yeah.
Melbourne, Max Gorn, yep,
Just
no one
one is
else.
interesting, isn't it? But probably
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I mean, Petrarca's missed half the year, so he was never. And
Yeah. You just
Gulliver.
yeah, you're just used to seeing Petrarca and Oliver, but obviously they're not gonna be there this year.
Yeah. Good to see Harry Sheasel. I'm not sure if he
Mm.
was in the squad last year, but yeah, definitely deserves it. Tristan Sherry's also had a terrific year. Um, Interesting, Horn Francis. I probably wouldn't have picked him. He's had an inconsistent year, I'd
Yeah, I was
say.
gonna say he's very up and
So
down.
how much has Kane Corns paid off the Australian, or the rest of them, I should say, because he is on there. Richmond 0,
Yeah.
understandable. St Kilda only Jack Sinclair. I'd argue that Wilkie should be in there, almost Wilkie over Sinclair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't understand. I just think they just don't give St Kilda enough pressure, like credit. I know we didn't play finals, but we've still got some really solid players on our team, and yeah, I don't know. I just think we're this irrelevant club, and they don't give us credit where it's due.
Yeah, well, irrelevant would be a fair analysis, somewhat. Um, this goes probably back to what I was talking about earlier when we sat on the show, Alana, a couple of weeks ago. And by the way, the rest of the list is fine. I think quickly. Yeah, do you agree with? disagree with anything remaining from Sydney, West Coast, and the Bulldogs, Alana?
Nah, you can't argue with any of that. Trelaw's, yeah, he's had a really, really solid, but probably especially second half. I whacked him in my super coach team and I was glad I did. So yeah,
Yeah.
nah, all
I
fair.
mean, same with me. He was in my fantasy team. That's what got me over the line and won me the
Mm.
fantasy grand final in the league that I'm in. Yeah, the Great Wall of Wookie definitely got stumped. I don't know. Yeah, I agree, Beth. Joe Danaher. I'm not sure why he was selected. I don't think he's had a good enough year. Um, it goes back to probably what I was saying, Alana, that we agreed earlier on a couple of was probably a while ago now that we said Tyson Stengel was a B grader, and everyone in the comments, at least if you go back to the comments in the video, flamed us
Yeah.
saying he's a B grader. I think people are. This is exactly my point that people are too liberal with the word. First of all, the word star and the word A grader. Like to be an A grader, you need to be a Cripps, you need to be a Bontempelli Dacos, you need to be a match winner or like the Errol Goulden, Isaac Heaney. Maybe not. You don't
Mhm.
have to be top five in the league, but you have to be like a Petrarca or a Gorn. They're A graders to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone like even Jack Steele this year, but someone like Josh Battle to me is a B grader.
Yeah.
A B grader is a good, serviceable player. There is no
Yeah.
disrespect there. You're just not an A grader. That's I think, and to call Stengel to go back to it and say Stengel's, for people to suggest, oh, he's an A grader. When I suggest, yeah, when you and I, Alana, suggested he's a B grader,
Mhm.
people would have a go at us for it. Well, that's
Yeah. Well, I
you know,
feel like now people see him make the All Australian squad and be like, "Ah, see," but yeah, no, I still stand by what you're saying. There's still a difference, but
yeah.
yeah.
Some people on that list are genuine B graders.
Mm,
Um, like I'd say Bailey Dale, no disrespect to him, he's probably maybe pushing it.
mm.
But there's like a couple of people on there that I would still have as B graders, like maybe Dan Houston. Um, if I'm looking through, maybe Jordan Clark as well, Joe
Yep,
Danaher.
yep,
They're not A graders. So
yep,
yeah. So
yep.
there's nothing wrong with being a B. Not everyone can be an A grader. That's.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being a B grader. Yeah, we're not saying they're D grade.
Yeah. D grade is where, yeah, if I said Tyson Stengel was D grade, I think that would be fine to have an issue with, or C grade, fine to have an issue with that.
Yep.
No thanks. I'm not sure where you heard this from, Dale, but no thanks.
Yeah, just straight up
Um,
no.
it's been interesting to see, Josh Battle. There's certainly the second half of the year that turned it around, and maybe more likely he's staying. But if I was a betting man, I'd still put my money firmly on him leaving. I think he's done.
Yeah, I don't like his body language, and I don't know, like, him asking to have his, like, daughter run through the banner with him and stuff. I'm just like, "Why would you do that if you're staying?" Like, he's gone to me. Like, his papers are stamped. See you later.
Yeah, and no, I don't want anyone booing him next year. Um, because he's been a serviceable player for us, and he's well within his roles. He's given enough to the club. He's been thrown forwards, backwards, midfield, all over the ground. Finally found a spot for him, and probably haven't delivered the results that he was after. So he's more he wants. Fair enough. He wants money. You're only 20. How old is he? 27, 28? You're in
26 maybe?
26. Yeah, probably about right. You're only that age once. So make the most of it and get the money you can. And go to a good club like Hawthorn. That's fair enough. So I'd be pretty disappointed if Saints fans, when we play Hawthorn next year, start booing him. I'd be pretty discontent with that.
It'd just be nice if we could make, like, a player regret leaving us for once. Like, that's what I would like to happen. I'm disappointed he's gonna go, so I'd like us to, make him regret it. Be nice.
Yeah, it would be good. I don't think Gresham's having any regrets. I think Essendon's probably about where we are. We're maybe in a better position, I'd say, but I'm probably biased. Um,
At least I didn't make finals. I'm glad about that.
yeah, well, we did definitely had a say in that. Yeah, I think it was good to be the Grinch. It's a shame that Freo couldn't pull it together. Um, Speaking of the ladder, we'll take a look at. I brought this up last week. I have a look at Squiggle. Unfortunately, we don't have the squiggle ladder predictor or anything like that. So this is my ladder, so you can analyze it as much as you want from and say, Jordan, you don't know anything. How could you get you thought Collingwood were going to finish second. You don't know
Yeah.
anything, mate. I
I,
would say that that's pretty damn good, and I've got the stats to back it up to show that it is good. I'll show you later. But is there anything here, Alana, that surprises you at all from where I thought certain teams would finish?
so you did this before the season started?
Yes, I did this 2 days before round zero.
Yeah, cool. Because I did a ladder predictor as well. So yeah, I'm just comparing it. But yeah, I'm trying to see. So you pretty much just don't have the Giants. That's pretty good. Oh, and Hawthorn, but who would have had Hawthorn? So
Yeah,
yeah.
no one would have had. I can do a ladder rating, and we can pull it up side by side if you want to tell me where you
Oh,
had teams
yeah, mine's
first.
on my phone, so mine's not too great. I mean, I had Collingwood finishing top.
Okay,
um, then I had the Giants, then I had Carlton, so yeah. But I did have Port Adelaide in fourth, like you. Um, and then Brisbane fifth. I had Adelaide in there. I was biased and had us, and then I had Geelong. Yeah, that was my eight.
so it was
So I
Adelaide.
didn't. I had Sydney dropping out, which was obviously a massive error.
So was Collingwood. Read the numbers. Go 1 to 18 for me, and we'll see how you did.
Yeah, it was Collingwood,
Yep.
Giants,
Yep.
Carlton,
Mhm.
Port,
Yep.
Brisbane,
Yep.
Adelaide,
Mhm.
Saints, and Geelong.
It's in Geelong, and then was it Sydney ninth?
I actually had Melbourne and then Sydney. So yeah, I thought Sydney might have dropped, but they proved me wrong.
Yeah. What about the rest of it? I'm interested to know where you had like the
Yeah.
Dogs and
So I
stuff.
mean, I didn't want to go too predictable with like my bottom, so I ended up going Hawthorn, Bulldogs, which is obviously another fail. Then I had Richmond, Essendon, West Coast, North. Then I had Freo, and I had Gold Coast as last, just because why not?
Really? That's
Yeah,
interesting. All right,
which
let me pull it up. Um, I like that you've gone outside the box because we'll show it in a minute. I've got the ladder rating of certain experts, like media personalities that I had a look at, and they were all they're all similar to how team just finished in 2023 and didn't want to make any bold calls. Um,
yeah.
okay, let me just pull up Alana's. No, that should be just a second. Um, Here we go. So not as
Lucky.
yeah, but Brisbane was spot on. What did we get? So we got two out of the top four, five out of the top eight. One exactly right and two off by one. So that's all right. I mean, you predicted Hawthorn to finish higher than what the vast majority would have. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I thought they'd be okay, but definitely not finals worthy. But yeah,
Well, you've certainly
interesting.
picked. We'll have a look at the experts now. It's in very small print. Damien Barrett was the best,
All right.
um, but yeah, he got
Ah,
a
the
he got a
highest was C,
65.
and you got
Yeah,
a C, right?
yeah. So I got what did I get? I got
There you go.
66.9. So for all
Huh.
those who commented say Jordan doesn't know anything, well, I know better than all these people.
There you go. Yeah, you should
Um,
print it, put it on
Yeah,
your
I'll
wall.
stick it on my wall. And I did looked at my predictions from the previous year and the year before, and there's a consistent trend of being better than the experts. So yeah, not to
There
toot my
you
own horn. Maybe AFL.com.au should give me a job instead of Damo. But credit to Damo, he's actually got 65, which is pretty
go.
good. Better than who's last? Kane Collins with a
Good.
51 rating. So yeah, Alana, where would you have placed? I think you had 55, so somewhere in the middle. That's fair enough. You beat Kane Collins, and that's all that matters. And Riley
Great.
Bevan as well.
At least I'm not on the bottom.
Yeah, that's all that matters really. But yeah, others let us know how you did. Have you seen that? Have you seen that interview that Jeff Kenner did a couple of years ago with Kane Collins when he was on SEN and Jeff called him Corn the entire interview?
No.
It's a
Should have logged
definitely
that.
look it up for those. Well, Alana maybe can watch it later. But for those who haven't seen it, yeah, definitely worth watching. Look it up on YouTube. Kane Corn's Jeff Kenner interview. It'll pop up. It's when Kane is. Well, he still works at SEN, but he was working for SEN at the time. Yeah, it's just Carlton will not play. Interesting. Oh, I don't know.
I would have them in my top 8 if I was doing a ladder predictor now.
Yeah. Oh, mate.
I mean, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope they finish last. I do not like Carlton. I heard Grant Thomas say, yeah, there's a reason why Grant. See, I always take these with a grain of salt, Alana, and maybe you do too, because some people need to say certain things to become relevant and get traction and
Yep.
get more like jobs again. Like Paul Bruce, a couple of months ago when he said the 1970s like reserves team would beat North Melbourne. I don't think he actually believes that. He just wants to be relevant again. So I think this
Yep.
is something similar. I'm going to assume that this is just to get more draft picks and or young people. Something like GT probably thinks that they don't fit their timeline or something.
Yep. I think it was about the premiership window. Yeah.
Oh, did you see this?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and I
What did
thought the
you?
same thing pretty much. Just like, yeah, you just want to get some airtime. That's all you're about. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
say something controversial. Yeah.
What did he? What was his reasoning? Was it?
I'm pretty
Um,
sure he was saying something along the lines of Steele and Sinclair are probably they're not going to be around like when we're winning our premiership, so we should trade them now while they've got some value and like top up with some good like kids because I don't know, we obviously need, some A grade midfielders and things, but nah, you don't go trading your best players. You'll be bloody North Melbourne if you do that. Like you're just always going to be on the bottom. I don't agree. And I just think, like you said, he just wanted some airtime.
yeah. By that logic, maybe Geelong or maybe Brisbane should trade Dane Zorko, or maybe Geelong should trade,
Cameron
who's
or
on?
someone.
Yeah, but like Patrick
I
Dangerfield,
mean,
because he's not going to be in the next. Like that's a ridiculous
yeah,
statement. You
yeah.
need to have veteran. Yes, I'm always a fan of getting draft picks and whatever, but you need to have veteran presence around. Like you know, that's important. And yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, Chris. Like that's not anything. I'm not even gonna entertain that idea. Um, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting to look at where St Kilda finish because
Mm,
you can look at our season and say, oh, we missed we could have, woulda, shoulda. With a lot, you can have a glass half full, a glass half empty, or a glass, or the glass is a glass approach. Let's go with that. And you can look at and say, oh, St Kilda's had a lot of close losses. Like what was said at the time, hindsight is always 20 out of 20, and you can sort of distort how you were feeling at the time. Like
mhm.
if you look at the close losses this season, Alana, like the Geelong one, we only lost by 8, but they really should have won by a bit more.
Yeah.
The way we played, I don't think was that great. I don't think we
Mhm.
deserved to win that one. Other ones, the Essendon one where we lost by 4, that was a genuine
Annoying.
50-50. That we probably should have won,
Mhm.
but also, 50-50 things happen. Round 4, we just scraped. Richmond played better than us that day, to be perfectly honest. We shouldn't
Yeah.
have won that. So
Mm.
um,
Oh, that was a
round
shocker.
5, round 5 against the Giants, we only kicked the last 6 goals of the game, and stormed home because they lost Cornelia and Sam Taylor went down.
Mhm.
So I don't think we deserve to win that. And there
Mhm.
were, if we just go through like the whole set, the point is that people say, oh, we had a lot of close losses, whatever. The Port Adelaide one where we lost by 10, they kicked it incredibly poorly. Expected score had them dominating us.
And they
Um,
had all the injuries too, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, and similar to Hawthorn, where we lost by 5, they should have obliterated us. Fremantle as well, we lost by 17. They kicked poorly. And when Melbourne played us the following week, they smacked us, which was
Mm.
um, important. But we've also, we beat Gold Coast by 3, lost to Port by 2, beat Sydney by 2, the other close ones, beat Carlton by 2, which is always good to beat Carlton. But the point is that percentage is really where a team like that's always every stats expert that you talk to says that percentage is the team a team's best indicator of where they're at. And our percentage this year was 99.4, so roughly even.
Mm-hmm.
So the definition of an average side.
Yeah, I think the year was just a very typical St Kilda type year, like plenty of highs, lows, hopes, not any hope at all. Like it was just such a roller coaster, which is just so typical. But I will say our last 8 games to me were really promising. I thought, we started to get some continuity and play the way that we want to play, like playing our brand, contested footy, good defense, good attack, like started gelling a lot more than I agree with you. Those first 6, 7, 8 games, yeah, we were close, but I actually think we were sort of playing that really boring footy to try and keep the opposition to low scores rather
Mm,
than actually playing well, if that makes sense. Whereas
yeah,
second half of the year, I think we actually started playing how we want to play and we started getting it right on both ends. And I take a lot going into next year based off our last, winning 6 out of 8 last games going into next year. I think that's really promising and I'd much rather that than, you know, putting our head in this, like throwing the towel and just saying the season's done and we can't make it. And just, I think it showed good character how we built on this season, despite knowing that we're probably not going to make finals. And hopefully that carries us in good stead for next year. Fingers crossed.
yeah. If only there were 30 rounds in the season, maybe we could have played finals.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was just a tale of two halves. The point is that I don't want people to get carried away with thinking, oh, we were so close in a lot of these because you've hit the nail on the head, Alana. We brought other teams down to our level and try and keep it low scoring and not take risks and play with more dare and better football like we did in the second half of the season. Um, so you just gotta remember how not forget how you felt while looking at those games. And yeah, definitely some positives. One on average, not even on average, every year since 2001 team from outside the top 8 has finished in the top 4 the following season. So that's a bit of optimism for us that maybe it can be St Kilda. um, Maybe I'll probably end up being Collingwood or Fremantle. They seem like the obvious choices, but St
Mm.
Kilda, I don't think it's out of the question. I mean, if you look at the form teams in the competition over the past 8 weeks, you would have to say Hawthorn, the Bulldogs, GWS Brisbane, and then probably Port Adelaide as well. But after that, like St Kilda would probably be the sixth form team in the comp, which is
Mm.
pretty good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's such a long season too. So you are going to have your ups and downs throughout a season. I mean, to me, it surprises me that Sydney still maintain their top, but that's just because they absolutely blitzed it the first half of the year and managed to hold on. So yeah, it's a long season. So yeah, injuries, everything plays a part. So yeah, who knows?
Yeah, and that's part of the Geelong 7-0 start was really good, and they could afford a few more losses in the back half of the season. So you just need to stack your wins early, and yeah, I mean some wins are more important than others, maybe in the last round of the season, but every win is still important. Um, yeah, I'm just saying we'll answer a couple of comments here. Yeah, we need to go for someone in the middle. I think that's obvious. Just need to improve in general improvement and get genuine A graders in all parts of the ground. But it won't be LDU though because he's resigned.
Yeah, it's just so hard to attract the A grade talent, which is our problem. Like just getting a player like that to want to come to us is the problem.
Yeah, that's why. If you look at a guy like Oliver, who people are very, not, wanting him around, beggars can't be choosers, so you've got to take what you can get. And yeah, hopefully we can draft a midfielder. I think our pick will be pick 7
Mm,
um, this year, probably down to pick 8 because of there will be a bid on Levi Ashcroft.
mm.
Um, and then we'll get pick 9 as compensation for Josh Battle. Yeah,
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because I've heard people talking, as in saying it's not set in stone that we'll get like a top sort of 10 pick, like that we could potentially get a second round pick. Is that
oh,
possible?
it's possible. with the money that Mackay averaged the deal with Ben Mackay. Averaged out to be roughly $850,000 to $900,000 a year. It was front loaded, so he's earning 1.4 mil this year,
Mhm.
which is very excessive, but obviously it averages out. Um, and over a 5 year deal, that was enough to get North Melbourne their pick three. Um, Obviously it's tied to your finishing position, so it's not like you get this pick and whatever, which is
Mhm.
interesting. I don't think that's how it should operate, but anyway, that's a discussion for another day.
Mhm.
So basically, to get a first round pick tied to your finishing position, it would have to be in the vicinity of 900K a year, and that seems to be what Hawthorn's offering. In addition to that, the AFL is now taking years of the deal into account. So if Battle's being offered a 5 or 6 year deal by Hawthorn, that also favours well. So I would be very surprised if we didn't get um, like not at least end of first round compo like we got for Gresham, but also not also. Yeah, I think we'll get that pick 8 as well as well
Mm.
the original pick, the type tied to the first round pick tied to the finishing position is kind of the highest BAM one compensation. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Oh, I'd be filthy if we got like a late second round pick. That'd be poo.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen. And if an offer were to come from Hawthorn that only generated that, Josh Battle wouldn't leave. So if he's leaving, it's going to be for a salary that equals band one compensation. So yeah,
Yeah, right.
I think it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think that they should match what they should just say whatever Hawthorn gives. We'll match it like a mil would be my absolute most. I know that seems jarring for a lot of people, but that's where the money is, and you got to pay to keep players because the salary cap keeps going up and up and up. So that's just
Mm.
is what it is these days.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Alana, I want to ask you: did you see Mason Wood's comments after the game about draft picks and that sort of?
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Big fan. Big, yeah. I mean, I've always been an advocate for winning games, so I was kind of happy that Mason Wood backed it up. But I mean, I suppose what's he gonna say? Like, oh, I was disappointed we lost because I wanted a draft pick. But yeah, no, I like that he sort of come out and said that. That was good.
yeah. I think I'm always a fan of winning more games, but I do think there's not strategic winning, but fortunes can play a factor. Like it would have been nice for Melbourne to get the win over Collingwood and Gold Coast to win by more than they did against Richmond, so that we could still have, that we finish 13th, at least 13th, if not 14th, and get a high pick. Because really, if you're not playing finals, who cares where you finish? So. Um, well, not who you know what I mean. It would have been good to finish 13th or lower to get the easier fixture, but be a high draft pick, while still winning that last game. But if you can't have everything, so I'm just glad that we won the. Yeah. No player is ever going to lose a game deliberately because they think, oh, we can get a better draft pick. Like
Yeah.
that's not how they think.
Yeah, I mean, lately we've done all right with some later picks, like like Wilson. I don't think Wilson was top 10 or anything, and like Garcia is looking the goods, and he was 30s or something. So, I mean, I know that's early days, but you can also go bust. I mean, we had Caulfield at pick 8 or whatever. He's gone to the Dogs, and he's not doing a hell of a lot there either. Like injuries can play a part. Like it is a lottery in a way, and I think it comes down to how you develop the player as well. So, yeah, interesting. And I mean, like going back, I think. I thought Essendon were going to take Filippo and they didn't. And I mean, I know it's early days, but I'd be picking Filippo over Sardis or however you say his name at the moment. But that's
Yeah,
just a couple of examples.
yeah. I think Sardis has been unlucky with season-ending injuries and that sort of thing. But yeah, I still, even in hindsight, I think Essendon would have rather taken Filippo. Um, yeah, it'd be interesting to see whether Filippo goes home in a couple of years' time. Hopefully, he doesn't.
Hopefully.
Um, just pull up this comment. I'm happy to play in the back line for a season. I'm hoping that with all due respect, Nick, that we have some options that are better. With some footballers better than yourself. I don't know how good at football you are. Maybe you are good. But yeah, I think yeah, I think that speaks for itself. And this is interesting also. I think it's Ashton, or maybe it is Aston. I think it's Ashton. Is it? Maybe yeah, it's Ashton. He had a good game for Carlton on the weekend, so yeah, interesting that we chose Lance Collard over him. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Collard and when he returns from suspension.
Yeah, I was always like not completely sold on Collard just because to me he seemed like a oh, very much like happy at home. Like I'm a bit worried about the go home factor with him, whereas Philippo was more worried about the crowd factor. He seemed happy as anything to get out of South Australia, but he wants to play in the big crowds, which concerns me because we don't have that. But Collard, I just think he's going to want to go home, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I think Collard's also like more of a project. Every player's a project, but some more than
Mm.
others. Um, to describe him, he's 2 years away from being 2 years away. So so hopefully he doesn't leave in that 4 year um time span. And yeah, I agree, Beth. It was just good to see how yeah such a how good he contributes, how well he contributes to the culture.
Crucial cultural custodian. That's a bit of a tongue twister. I like
The
it.
alliteration there, yeah.
Yeah, I do like Mason Wood, and every time I hear him interviewed too, I just can't help but like him. He seems like a solid bloke, and yeah, surely we're going to re-sign him. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, he's uncontracted, but sure, yeah. There's a comment about delistings. I'm not sure who won't be. I'm not sure of St Kilda's contract. Like who's able to get a contract and who's not. You know what I mean? Like who's got more years?
Mm.
Who's left? I'm just trying
I
to look
know,
it up now. Final year.
I know Membry's out of contract 'cause there's been a lot of talk about him having interest from other clubs, and I think we'll potentially lose like Ross and Crouch to retirement or injury, however you want to put it with Crouch, because I think his knee's done. But I'm not too sure about the rest of the list. Maybe like Heath and Campbell probably
Okay.
up for contract renewal.
So I've got a list here now. So we've got, we'll go through it. Angus McLennan, I think
I'd
we
keep
haven't,
him.
we haven't seen much of him.
No.
I think he's been injured a bit.
Mm.
So yeah, give him one more year. Ben Patton is interesting.
Probably say go for mine.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't offer him another one, which is sad because he before he broke his leg, he was really really good. Um, who else have we got here? Cooper Sharman. We'll sign that man for 10 years.
Yeah.
Um,
He was another who I was quite impressed with. He was very composed again and just good decision maker.
yeah, I mean, just yeah, obviously my favourite player, so I don't want him to leave. Dan Butler, yeah, give him another 2 years probably. Dougal Howard has, yeah, obviously got a lot of people offside, including myself, throughout his first couple of years at the club. I thought he's had, like most of the other boys, had a good second half of the year, so I'd
Yep.
give him probably a 2 year extension.
Yep. Agree.
Um, Isaac Keeler, I mean, still haven't seen him yet.
Mm.
He's still only 20 years old, so I'd give him another go around. Jack Hayes is an interesting one.
I think he probably goes.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, like, love to keep him, but I just don't think we will.
if you can't get you, like we've shown that last with Dan McKenzie, like great player,
Yeah, I loved him
you
too.
know, contribute for the club, but if you can't get your body right, that's not.
Yeah.
And you got to be ruthless with these decisions. So I think that's realistic. I like to hear that, Alana. That no one likes to get rid of players, but yeah, um, James Van Ez, that's an interesting one. I'm not too sure. We haven't seen him yet. I
He's
think he's also
he's like a strong sort of half back sort of position, isn't he? Like a full
yeah,
back? Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we might need to keep him if battle goes. I don't know. Not that he's exactly like for like, but probably similar.
yeah. Maybe one more year. We'll
Mm.
see. Probably I think Keeler and Guys like Keeler and McLennan, probably the project guys need to sort of break into the team sooner rather than later because after 2025, they're probably not going to have too many more chances. Jimmy Webster, I'd give another year. Josh Battle was spoken about. Liam Stocker, I'd give him an extension for sure.
Yep.
Mason Wood, Matthew Allison. That's one there. Yeah, I don't think he
Time's up.
gets. Yeah, I think he's 23 now, 22. I think he's If he would have, he would have already. So
Mm.
yeah. Max Heath, another one that you give a 1 year deal to, but also time's running out for him. Ollie Houghton, I don't
Same
know.
sort of deal as Allison, I'm thinking, but I don't know how long he's been on our list. So I don't know if that's fair, but
He's turning 20 in a few weeks, so I'm not too sure. I think another year. I think Allison, just because he's 22, 23, had a couple more years than Houghton.
Mhm.
Yeah, Riley Bonner is interesting. I don't know. I actually don't know.
I reckon we'll keep him. I think he probably averaged 20 odd touches a game still. So I'd probably say he's a good depth player, but that's what he is. And you do need depth players, so that's why I would keep him.
Yeah. I'm just seeing that Stocker's hit his trigger for a
Good.
con, so that's good. So he'll get one automatically. Ryan Burns, I would definitely keep around. And now here it gets a bit tricky. Here's the tricky parts. Seb Ross.
Yeah, such a hard one because I've always loved Seb, and I think he sort of gets maligned a little bit, but I do think he's been solid, particularly when we had a god awful list and he stuck around. But yeah, he's probably come to an end, and a bit sad that he may not get a farewell game if that's the case. But yeah, I guess that's footy.
I think St Kilda will keep him just because I think you need, like you said, Alana, you need depth, but also I would
I hope we do.
thank Seb Ross for his service. I would politely let him go. But I think just because the way the club has operated, I think they'll give him another year. I think they will also look to re-sign Tim Membry. I know that a couple of comments that he's looking elsewhere. I think we'll keep him. I think he's just a good servant to the club, and I think he's got more to offer on the field than Seb Ross does.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because halfway through the year, I was looking to me like Membry just wasn't looking like it. Like he looked off, like he just looked completely out of confidence. And then he sort of came back and was a different player. Like he looked like he was loving life out there, and I was really enjoying watching him play. So yeah, I hope we sign Membry, and I think he's just one of those sort of good clubmen. I just can't see him in anything other than Saints colours. I know we got him from Sydney, but he's been one of the solid trades for mine, so I'd be a bit sad to see Timmy go.
Yeah, Sydney legend Tim Membry having only played one game for them.
Yeah.
Good player to use in Gridley. If anyone still does that, I actually don't. I don't think I played Gridley in like a year. Anyway, Tom Campbell is the next one. I think, as much as I like Tom Campbell and as much as we want to see him play, I think if you're not going to play him, you don't have him on your list.
Yeah, I mean it's hard because obviously our ruck stocks aren't great. But yeah, I sort of know what you're saying, and he's not getting any younger either. So you probably want to keep Heath and maybe. I mean, I know Tom Campbell's really renowned for being a really good guy around the club, and I think he won our Clubman Award last year and that kind of thing. But yeah, I think you can only stay on the list for so long, and yeah,
Yeah,
sad, but
he'll be 33 by the time next season rolls around. I think that's done. And the last one I've got is Zach Jones, who we've spoken about, and definitely keeping him.
yep.
I'd say probably a 1 year deal.
Yeah, well, the thing I love about Zach, and I posted it somewhere earlier, but start of the year, he's very in and out of the side, kept getting subbed, and a lot of the time, he'd play and get subbed, and you'd look at him on the bench, and you could just see how frustrated and dejected and sometimes pissed off he would be, and you'd be like, yeah, sometimes it's fair enough. Thought you were doing okay, and you got subbed, and then other times it's like, oh come on, we need more from you. And then to go into the VFL and then come back the way he has, like that's just a real credit to him and his character to come out and just really blitz it. So really happy for him, and yeah, I think that just shows. I think Jake might have mentioned like heart and soul, and yeah, he really was, especially on the weekend, like the way he put in, and I think he does wear his heart on his sleeve, and yeah, he's a bit of a warrior. So yeah, really, really impressed with his second half.
Yeah, I think it was funny that Jake posted the back to his best, like the mosh spot, like the mosh back to your best, like for obviously mosh being a hair regrowth and treatment thing for Zach Jones. I thought that was quite funny, and only a couple of people picked up on the comments. I thought I'd mention that. That made me chuckle a little bit. But yeah, I think give him 1 year. I think obviously, players are humans too. They like to have more security, but it does keep play like the evidence shows us keep people hungrier, players hungrier to have him 1 year. So given that, and he hasn't been, as good as he's been, I don't think he's deserving of a 2 year contract. So I think 1 year, and yeah, but I think definitely offer him that 1 year. I think he's good enough. He's earned it.
Yeah,
Especially after
yeah,
the hate he got, that random email
yeah,
which accused him of thinking he's Chris Judd, which is actually very offensive because he's better than Chris Judd. Yeah, I was actually calling him Gary Ablett Jr. on the weekend. Yeah,
yeah,
just
great. He was everywhere.
yeah. I mean, he was terrific.
Yeah, that handball, and then he saved the game with that smother at the end. So yeah.
Yeah, real warrior type stuff. That smother at the end.
Mhm.
Well, we've been yapping for quite a while. So we yeah,
Uh,
better wrap that up. But yeah, before we do though, I'd like to say a big thank you to Alana on behalf of the Saints TV community for filling in for Max. Obviously, she had big shoes to fill, and she's done it her past with flying colours. She's been terrific. Yeah, I think I speak for all of us and say thank you very much, Alana. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Yeah, you've been terrific in what you've done with good with desirable analysis and that sort of thing, and not, probably with balancing my pessimism at times with your optimism. It's been really great to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. I've loved it. So yeah, thanks for the chats, and yeah, no, it's been really good. So thanks to you and Saints TV, and thank you to everyone commenting saying thank you. I've loved it. It's been awesome.
Yeah, we're just pulling up all the positive comments now. Um, and yeah, it's been good to have some, especially some female representation on not just on this show but on the teams as well. So hopefully, you'll still see Alana on teams. Is that a regular thing for you, or you just pop on whenever you sort of feel like it?
Yeah, it's probably been more weeks than not. I couldn't do last week, but yeah, I've been on probably most weeks, so that's been really fun as well. But yeah, it's just been a pleasure to be on Saints TV. So, like I said, I've loved every minute.
Yeah, well, it's been terrific having you on. Like I've said, Chris has mentioned seeing you on the teams when you're on. So hopefully we'll see you a bit more. But yeah, obviously not this season. But yeah, with no more games remaining. But yeah, next season should be good. But yeah, we might just leave it there. Just a reminder to check out all the other videos on the channel if you haven't done already. Max and I. Max will be back. Either we're still working out when the final show will be. Possibly Sunday or Monday next week, but that should be good either way as a final season wrap up and a goodbye as well. Because as most of you know, I won't be returning next season, which is sad. Obviously, unlike Liam Stocker, I don't think I've hit my the trigger for a contract extension yet. So yeah, just waiting to see that. No, I'm just kidding. It's a yeah, I won't be available, unfortunately.
Oh,
But yeah, as always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Monday night and have a great week.
thank you.
See you guys next time.